Hello, my name is Andy and I am the Village Idiot. I'm armed with a car and a GoPro and an unhealthy amount of time on my hands. I'm using that time to attempt to visit every civil parish in England. You're watching the Huntingdonshire series, a district of Cambridgeshire which contains 81 civil parishes. Without further ado, let's dive into one of them. Welcome to Huntingdonshire for the first time. It's a district of Cambridgeshire we have not yet touched, and this one is a really good one to start things off. Here's the village sign, which we're stood very close to, and underneath there's something that says original home of Stilton cheese. Now, believe it or not, Stilton cheese is not allowed to be made in Cambridgeshire. It can only be made in Derbyshire, Leicestershire or Nottinghamshire, and not here, which is a bit weird considering it's Stilton cheese. Welcome to Stilton. Here's my disclaimer for people who may be watching me for the first time. I say things as I would in my native accent and dialect. As a result, I may not pronounce things in the same way as the locals do. Remember, I'm a visitor. It's impossible to know everything. Leave me a comment, spin me a like and bash that subscribe button. Let's get to today's parish video. Welcome back to Cambridgeshire, everyone, and to a brand new district which we haven't yet touched. This is Stilton, a village located within the historic county of Huntingdonshire. It lies on the Great North Road about 12 miles north of Huntingdon, although it's much closer to Peterborough, lying just off the A1 at junction 16. Stilton was recorded in the Domesday Book as both Stichiltone and Sticilitone. The fact it lies on the old Great North Road helped Stilton develop into what it is today. In late medieval times, the village was a popular posting station and coaching stop. As with practically every other village we've covered along those lines, it had pubs, lots of them. At one time, it featured 14 of them, a crazy number given its population was just 500. These pubs would become famous thanks to a type of mould ripened cheese. Stilton cheese cannot be produced in Stilton. It has protected status, and Derbyshire, Leicestershire and Nottinghamshire are the only English counties which are licensed to produce it. In the 1720s, it was transported here from Quenby Hall at Huntingdon in Leicestershire to be sold at the coaching inns, namely the Bell Inn or the Angel Inn. You won't see any cheese in this video, but you will see what Stilton is all about. We start on North Street, where we noticed a plant stall, but we opted not to buy any on this occasion. North Street is the route of the old Great North Road, which Stilton has relied on for centuries. This reliance has led to problems when use of the road has been reduced. Most notably, that occurred in the 19th century when the railways cut goods transportation along the road, and it happened again in 1958 when the A1 bypass was built. Passing trade through the village reduced to almost zero. We've dived briefly off North Street here to catch Queen Eleanor Close, but we're about to return to it. Here in Stilton, the line of the Great North Road follows the course of the Roman Ermine Street. Stilton also once had an east to west route too, connecting higher ground in the west to a fen in the east. It allowed the movement of livestock from winter to summer pastures. That route is marked by the modern Fenn Street and Church Street. So this main road is where most of Stilton's amenities are. Here we've got a memorial hall which is dated 1873 the stone above the door here, which is now a chemist, but it looks like it's undergoing a bit of renovation or something at the moment. It's certainly not open this morning. So yeah, let's continue down the road. There are shops, there are pubs, there are all sorts of things down here. The first pub we come across is the former Stilton Cheese Inn. This used to be called the George and was originally in the building next door. Pig drovers used to pen their livestock at the rear. It was owned by the church until the mid-1500s. Next to that we've got a guest house, the Stilton Lodge Hotel. This doesn't appear to be in business any longer, but you can still stay in the village if you need to at the Bell Inn, which we'll come to in a moment. Much like the Stilton Cheese, this pub, the Talbot, was also owned by the church. A former coaching inn at least 400 years old, the original archway can be seen above the larger front window. It's now a popular local. Stilton Cheese is much more associated with two other pubs here, the Bell and the Angel, but in the window of the Talbot, if you look hard enough, you can see some Stilton in its stained glass window. How neat is that? Okay, so we've reached the village centre, if you like, where there's a phone box. That one's got a defib machine in it, not a book exchange. There's an old shop behind it, obviously not a shop anymore, although there is a post office and a shop just around the corner. And also, we've got an old water pump here. Yeah, village pump. Village pump.
Queen's Platinum Jubilee benches.
So this will be brand new then. Yep. In fact, there's two of them, as Nikki's just said.
Oh, guess what?
Oh, and there's a parish notice board as well. Are you wanting a card, missus?
I am.
There you go then.
Thank you.
Take one of those. Right, new people, people who haven't seen me before. Every time I visit a place, I leave one of these cards on the parish notice board. It's to mark that I've been. Some places, the really, really tiny ones, don't have them, but ones like Stilton, which are big enough, definitely do. There we are, one down in Huntingdonshire and lots more to go. Let's carry on walking. Stilton's main shop next, which is a nicer local these days. Along Church Street there's also a hairdresser's, and behind us is Angel's Spice, located in the former Angel Inn. Years ago, a Methodist chapel used to stand on this corner. I guess you could call this the centre of the village. You can tell this was the old Great North Road just by its width. It's weird to think that at the height of the coaching era, this square would have been alive with activity. The pump dates from the 19th century, 1826 to be precise. It was in use for just over 100 years, pumping its last water in 1936. In the year 2000, it was restored for the millennium. The whole structure is listed Grade 2. Over the road is one of the original coaching inns Stilton was famed for. That right there is the Bell Inn, which has been one of Stilton's most iconic landmarks since at least 1515. This was rebuilt in 1642, and it's still going. Now, of course, all you newbies out there won't be familiar with Nikki as much as the regulars are. Nikki has got quite a keen architectural eye, and this building definitely caught your attention, didn't it?
Absolutely it did.
And why did it catch your attention?
Because it's just a stunning building.
Isn't it just?
I mean, it's been lovingly and carefully and sensitively restored, and the stonework's been sort of replaced and things on it, but oh my goodness, how gorgeous is this?
It's absolutely fantastic. The Bell was the first pub to sell Stilton cheese. On the wall there's a plaque which records that bit of history. It was first sold in the 1720s by Cooper Thornhill, who popularised it and created a substantial market for it. Next we head off down Fenn Street, and here we have some almshouses. These were created to provide housing for 3 poor men and 3 poor women. The terrace of 6 houses was built in 1868, with just 2 rooms to each house. At the end of the road there's a footpath which runs down the side of the A1M. This section of the A1 was improved in 1998, an improvement which would result in the relocation of the nearby Norman Cross Memorial. If you haven't seen my video about that memorial, by the way, it's linked in today's end screen. The path brings us to Oak Road, which will bring us back to the High Street momentarily. Once there again, we'll be heading for Colebrook's. Okay, back to the High Street again. We're about, I would say, a third of the way around, maybe a bit more, maybe 40%. Anyway, we've come across Colebrook. I've got no idea what this is.
Bentley dealer.
Bentley dealer.
And Bentley.
Right, so posh cars down here then in Cambridgeshire. Wow.
Can you see them in the window?
I can.
A couple of classic looking cars in there. I'm going to go and have a closer look.
Okay. Colebrook's is a Rolls-Royce and Bentley specialist garage. If public transport is more your thing, Stilton has you covered. You can reach the village by catching the number 904, which runs between Peterborough and Huntingdon. This then is Church Close, which will take us to the Church of St Mary Magdalene, the churchyard of which contains both the grave of Cooper Thornhill and that of Jean Habert, a former officer at the nearby Norman Cross prisoner of war camp. Speaking of memorials, outside the church we have the village's war memorial. The memorial hall we saw earlier was sold in 2018 to become the new village pharmacy. The memorial plaques were removed and reinstalled here in 2019. Opposite the memorial is Stilton's cemetery, and in that is the parish room, which was originally built in 1883 as a mortuary chapel, both for the deceased of the village and temporarily for casualties of accidents on the old Great North Road. Okay, I've left Nikki in the cemetery there to film one of her videos, which will be coming out soon. So for this next part, I'm on my own, briefly. We're heading up Manor Road. It's this one here. This goes around the back of that cemetery I've just shown you, and there's a footpath which leads back to the church, which is where I will meet Nikki again in a few moments' time. If you haven't seen her Stilton Cemetery video, it's linked in the description below. I'm on my own briefly, and one of the streets in this area is named A Priest's Way. Keep that in mind because next week's episode will touch more on that name. It's important to the local area. Running alongside the street is a small beck, and if you follow the beck you'll walk down a footpath which brings you to Stilton's primary school. This is a voluntary controlled Church of England primary academy. It was opened in 1963 and later extended to cater for a growing population. An excellent playgroup and after-school club share its grounds. Opposite the school is St Mary Magdalene's Church, which we can now get a look at. There's no record of a church in Stilton before the 13th century. The earliest parts of the present church date from that period. Most of the church was built in the 15th century, and it's a Grade 2 listed building. It's quite a decent sized school, that, actually. I imagine there's quite a few pupils on roll in that one. Mind you, Stilton's not a small place, so it does make a bit of sense, and of course it probably deals with children from other local villages as well. Right, let's head into the churchyard. There's not much point filming much in here because Nikki will have made a video about this already. And speaking of Nikki, let's go and find her. This could be a challenge. Could be anywhere with that GoPro of hers. Let's have a look at this tower while we're passing it. Quite a tall tower, that one. I'm having to stretch up quite a lot. Don't normally have to do that. Let's see if we can find her. Let's come around here. Nikki, where are you? Let's see if we can get inside the church. It's probably not open. No, it's not. So we can't get inside this one today. Never mind, it's still beautiful enough from the outside. Ah, I have spotted my wife over there with her GoPro exploring graves. The video that Nikki's making right now will already be out, so if you haven't seen it, it is linked in the description below. Hello, fancy meeting you here.
Somebody else that's armed with a GoPro.
That would be me. Around the back of the church is what I thought originally was a village pond. However, this is linked to the beck we saw earlier, and it's what's known as a balancing lagoon, designed to store floodwater. It's like a mini reservoir. The remainder of the walk takes us through some more residential areas. You'll have gathered by now that a lot of Stilton is modern housing, and as you might expect, the older and more historic buildings line the old Great North Road. This episode was filmed a few days before Halloween, and as such, some houses had their decorations up. We loved these inflatable figures. We've got 2 Mandalorians and good old Yoda from Star Wars. Awesome stuff.
Absolutely brilliant.
After walking along Norman Drive again, we come to Woodward Close, which links us to Mill Road. All that and no cheese. To be honest, I don't like Stilton anyway, but it generally remains as popular as ever. And we're back to where I parked the car on Mill Road. Now, all you new people out there have to get used to this as well. At the end of every route, I do something called the picture bit, where I pick some stills from the internet of other places where I've not been on the main walk and present them to you in photo form. And that's coming your way now for the parish of Stilton. And to wrap Stilton up, I've come down to Stilton Pavilion, which is effectively the village hall, you would have thought. I would imagine this is a place where many events go on. There's a board outside. Let's check this out and see what this is all about. What have we got here? Ah yes, so we've got you can come here on a Wednesday for a cafe. It's like another parish council notice board. Looks to be plenty of things on. Table tennis club, carpet bowls club as well, also in here. And I do know around the back of this building there's a skate park, and there's probably like a playing field of some description. We'll just quickly go and have a look. I don't know for definite, but we'll find out when we get there. Thankfully it's not too far to walk. It's quite windy down here as well, so hopefully you can hear what I'm saying. Here we go. No dogs allowed in here, look, apart from guide dogs. So it's yeah, there we are, look. There's the playing field over there. There's some football training going on or something over there, so I won't film that. Don't want to be too intrusive. There's the skate park. And that's it. That, my friends, is Stilton Pavilion, and that's been the parish of Stilton. One down in Huntingdonshire and quite a lot to go, and I'm about to head to my next one here in this district, and I'll be doing it on my own. Nikki will be sitting in the car for this one. I'll be on my own for the next one, give her a chance to rest and recuperate before we do the third one, because we're doing 4 today in total. So yeah, I'll see you there next week. I've been Andy, also known as the Village Idiot. This has been the parish of Stilton, and I'm out.